The concept of people being unknowingly pranked on camera is nothing new, going as far back as the TV show Candid Camera, which premiered in 1948, paving the way for shows like Punk'd, Scare Tactics, and Impractical Jokers, to name a few. The genre quickly made its way to the big screen and has continued to thrive into the current decade. I'll be ranking my favorite scripted prank movies and sharing my thoughts on the genre's newest entry, Bad Trip, in today's episode of Counting Down. Just so you're aware, I'm only ranking prank movies with a script, in which a story is tied into prank footage to form a central plot. So the mainline Jackass movies don't count, as they're a collection of non-scripted skits that are combined to then form a feature-length movie. And it should go without saying, but this isn't a definitive ranking. This is just my own personal ranking. If you agree with my choices for this list, or you think that I'm a complete moron with terrible taste, let me know in the comments section down below. Now let's begin the countdown.
Number 5.
Out of all the movies in this countdown, this one is probably the most controversial. Sacha Baron Cohen is no stranger to risking his life for comedy, but he was nearly killed both while filming this movie and received death threats after its theatrical debut. I'm of course referring to the 2009 film, Bruno. I have to admit, I'm not a huge fan of this film as a whole. When it comes to the humor, there are a lot more misses than hits. But luckily, the parts that work, really work. For example, the talk show scene.
All right, so how did you find your son?
I swapped him.
You swapped him? You swapped the baby for what?
For an iPod.
What?
So what's the baby's name?
OJ.
The portion where Bruno joins the US Army.
Sir, Officer Cadet, you deserve a medal for exceptional skin. That you could be a general in the bitch army is where you're going.
Said I will not use profanity while I'm at OCS.
Yes, mein Führer. Yes, Officer Candidate.
And finally, the best scene in the movie, where Bruno, now going under the alias Straight Dave, enters the octagon at a UFC event in Arkansas, where nearly 2,000 people in attendance were tricked into thinking that this was a real UFC match, called Straight Dave's Man Slimin' Max Out. Bruno ends up fighting his on-screen boyfriend, but things quickly take a turn, and the audience begins to riot, throwing chairs and drinks into the ring. The combination of the attendees' reactions and the Celine Dion song they chose to play over the scene makes for an absolutely hilarious moment in cinema history.
Number 4.
When the TV show that this movie is based on first premiered, I looked at it as sort of a watered-down Jackass ripoff. But once I actually sat down to watch it, I totally understood the appeal. Impractical Jokers the movie took the insanely successful TV series, Impractical Jokers, and gave it the big screen treatment. The scripted story portion of this movie is easily its weakest aspect. I really only laughed a few times during those segments, but the challenges and punishments are excellent. This is probably the only film in this countdown that doesn't lean into gross-out comedy, which is good, because that style of humor doesn't really suit this cast. There are many great skits in this film, but to name a few, the scene where the guys treated Murr to a night at the strip club for his birthday, only to reveal his family behind a window while he's getting a lap dance. The cave scene, where Joe emerges from a crevice, pretending that he was left behind by his group and has been living in the cave for decades. And the segment at the Atlanta Hawks complex, where the guys act like complete idiots while doing job interviews.
Off topic.
Off topic.
Is that stupid mascot of yours a woodpecker? What is that thing?
That stupid mascot you have, is that a woodpecker? What is that thing?
This isn't one of the all-time greatest comedies or anything, but it's a good way to spend an hour and 30 minutes of your time if you want a few laughs.
Radar movie. The movie's 3.5 stars. The movie's gonna be 3.5 stars.
Number 3.
And now, the only movie in the Jackass franchise that has ever received an Academy Award nomination.
Here are the nominees for achievement in makeup and hairstyling. Jackass presents Bad Grandpa, Stephen Prouty.
And the Oscar goes to
Jackass Bad Grandpa. Hell yeah, motherfucker.
If you're a regular viewer of this channel, you know I'm a huge fan of Jackass. But when Bad Grandpa was announced, I was a bit scared. Even though every skit Johnny had previously done as his old man character, Irving Zisman, was hilarious, I didn't think that he could pull off an entire movie as that character. Luckily, my worries were put to rest, as Jackass Bad Grandpa is absolutely hilarious. If seeing Irving get his
Penis
stuck in a vending machine isn't enough, you also get a nice little tale of a grandpa and his grandson bonding while on the road. And I have to say, Johnny's on-screen sidekick in Bad Grandpa, Jackson Nickel, really held his own.
Oh, God.
Ew, Grandpa, you sharted.
Following in the footsteps of Jackass 2 and 3, an additional full-length movie containing behind-the-scenes footage, along with additional skits that were left on the cutting room floor, was released on home media less than a year after Bad Grandpa made its debut, titled Bad Grandpa .5. It's crazy just how much was cut out of this movie, including full scenes with Irving's wife, played by Catherine Keener, best known for her roles in The 40-Year-Old Virgin and Get Out. Irving's wife is seen in Bad Grandpa, but that was only a dummy, sculpted to the likeness of Catherine Keener. All of her scenes were cut, because they apparently didn't fit the narrative that Jeff Tremaine, Johnny Knoxville, and Spike Jonze were going for. Speaking of Spike Jonze, the character he portrayed in Jackass 2 and 3, Gloria, was also supposed to have a few scenes in Bad Grandpa, but his appearance was also cut due to narrative issues.
Number 2.
And now, the newest entry to the scripted prank comedy genre, Bad Trip. Wait, nope, not that one. Not that one either. Nope. Okay, there it is. The movie stars Eric Andre, who plays Chris, a young man who is completely lost in life, working a dead-end job at a smoothie shop in Florida. When his high school crush, Maria, walks into his place of work, they catch up with one another, and Maria reveals that she is now the curator of an art gallery in New York City. Maria gives Chris an invitation to the gallery, which he accepts, deciding to take a road trip to New York with his best friend, Bud, played by Lil Rel Howery. Similar to Bad Grandpa, the film mixes a few of my favorite things: performing pranks on the unknowing public, a road trip, and buddy comedy antics. I've watched a good amount of the Eric Andre show, and while the celebrity interviews are great, I've always found his on-street antics to be the most entertaining portions of the episode. So, lucky for me, Bad Trip gives the viewer an endless supply of these moments. I won't spoil the movie, but I will say that my favorite scene in the entire film, aside from the incredible musical number near the beginning, involves Eric Andre and a gorilla. The reactions of onlookers only made the scene more hilarious. The dynamic between Eric and Lil Rel, as Chris and Bud, is more than enough to carry the movie, but the duo is also being pursued by Bud's sister, Trina, played by Tiffany Haddish. Chris and Bud needed a vehicle for their road trip, so they paid to have her car removed from an impound lot while she was incarcerated. Not knowing that she would quickly escape from jail, she immediately finds out that they took her vehicle and chases them up the East Coast in a stolen cop car. Tiffany did an amazing job in this movie, adding a totally different dynamic to the mix, as Chris and Bud were sort of the lovable idiot types, whereas she played a complete badass psychopath, looking to murder Bud and Chris simply for stealing her car. Overall, Bad Trip is one of the best comedy films released in the past few years, as far as I'm concerned. I implore you to give it a watch. It's available as of today on Netflix. Before I talk about my number 1 scripted prank movie, I wanted to go over one honorable mention. Borat 2, also known as Borat Subsequent Movie Film. Now that I think of it, this movie is probably even more controversial than Bruno. The reason that I'm bringing this up as an honorable mention is that I find it to be much less rewatchable than the other movies I've mentioned in this countdown. When I first watched it, I was pretty entertained. But unlike the other films I've gone over, I couldn't tell you a standout, laugh-out-loud scene off the top of my head. Sure, there were some very disturbing portions that will never escape my psyche, but even though Borat 2 was only released a few months ago, its subject matter already makes it feel like a product of a bygone era. Unlike my number 1 scripted prank comedy, which I find to be endlessly rewatchable.
Number 1.
Borat, also known as Borat, Cultural Learnings of America for Make Benefit Glorious Nation of Kazakhstan. Without this film, there's a chance that none of these other movies that I've mentioned in this video would even exist. Holding its theatrical debut in 2006, Borat took the world by storm, with earnings of over $262 million at the box office worldwide, on an $18 million budget. The movie follows a TV reporter from Kazakhstan as he journeys to the USA, or as he refers to it, the US&A, with only a producer, Azamat, and his pet hen to accompany him. Their intention was to make a documentary about American culture, but Borat experiences love at first sight when he sees Pamela Anderson on an episode of Baywatch, and the movie quickly takes a turn. Once again, following one of my favorite tropes, a road trip comedy. Watching Borat try to adapt to US culture never gets old, and Sacha Baron Cohen plays this character perfectly. There are so many great scenes in this movie, but I love the national anthem at the rodeo, the portion at the bed and breakfast,
I am in a nest of Jews. They have cleverly shifted their shapes.
and the naked brawl scene in the hotel, just to name a few.
Okay.
That'll do it for today's episode. I hope you enjoyed it. And if you feel so inclined, please give the video a thumbs up and click on both the subscribe button and the bell icon to be notified of future uploads. Thank you for watching today's video, and I'll see you on the next one.